Yeah, I think the impulsivity thing is a really important point. The way I think about that is someone who is saying, I am acting in alignment with my highest nature because my intuition is telling me X. But if they've short-circuited the hard work, how can they trust their intuition or their instincts because they are disconnected? And this plays out in the recovery context when people are new and they've stopped drinking or using, and suddenly they're just a live wire of emotions and they have no way of controlling it. Their instincts are unreliable. They're trying to solve their problems with the mind that got them there in the first place. And they're taught, I was taught to abdicate making big decisions and making sure that you run them by, other people, because your instincts are unreliable. Like, you have to do enough internal work before you can have a trusted relationship with whatever those impulses are telling you. And I think there's a lot of people out there who believe that they are on this path towards self-actualization when instead they're really just reacting to unconscious impulses that have been driving them all along.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Does that feel right to you?
Spot on. Yeah, spot on. I'd love to double click on that moment of real sheer vulnerability where you stop doing the drug or you stop drinking and you're raw, you're emotional, and it's craving this other side of you that you so consciously, desperately don't want to become that person. That can we double click on that experience? What is that experience like? What is it? What are the strategies that people are taught in the program to be with those emotions and to overcome it and not give in, because there's a huge payoff for not giving in. I mean, people who can resist it and go through that torture and come out on the other side report such a increased sense of meaning in their life.
Yeah.
There's a meaning making that can happen from that resistance.
Sure, but unfortunately, that payoff is long-term. And the immediate payoff of indulging the addiction is guaranteed.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So it's very difficult, to get people to wrap their heads around the long-term benefits of sobriety when they're just trying to get through the day. So it's all about what are you doing in this very moment and creating community and accountability around that individual and providing them with some pretty basic tools to just help them get through those intense periods of craving so that they begin to understand that those feelings are not facts and that they will shift over time. And if you can weather that intense moment of craving, then it provides you with some confidence that you could do it again, and you just start to stack those experiences.
Yeah.
But, relapse is a big part of recovery. And, I think relapse is often looked at as failure, but sometimes it's just really good information about what your triggers are and what kind of interior emotional experiences lead you to indulge that behavior.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything you're saying, I agree with so much that I'm like, I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah.
No, I think that's exactly right. Addiction is its own special topic, right? Within psychology, that's a whole different thing. And addiction is absolutely a big inhibitor of self-actualization. For the same reason that having a severe deprivation of any of your needs is significantly inhibiting who you could become.
Well, it's all consuming. I mean, you can't think about anything else. So there's no room for, any kind of personal development when that is active.
Yeah. Whenever there's we can actually generalize this to Roald May had this idea of the daimonic. Always liked this concept. Never understood why it didn't catch on more in the general public. But we can have like the demonic, but that's not what he's talking about. He's saying there's a side of ourself, whatever is within us that can overtake the whole person. He calls it the daimonic, daimonic. And it's not necessarily bad. It could entirely take over and cause self-destruction and destruction of others, or it can be channeled in a way that can lead to creativity like you've never seen. So many people take their pain, their suffering, and they take their demons, and they use it as fuel for being able to think it more longer term about how they're going to just use it as fuel for the work they do, the field they do to help others who have been addicted, to help others who are in a similar situation themselves. Whatever it is, they integrate it in such a way that it's the daimonic becomes their creative fuel.
Yeah, it's interesting. I question how sustainable that fuel source is, because pain is akin to other base emotions that tend to be unhealthy in terms of being primary motivators. But I do like this subject of pain being a lever for growth. And I think when I was on your podcast, I believe we talked about this, change is always accessible for us. We always, in every moment, have the opportunity to make a better choice about something about us, right? But we generally don't do it. Pain can actually put us in that place to confront that thing we don't like about ourselves and make the better choice. And I know for myself that pain has really been the true motivator in getting me to do anything different than I have historically. So how does that work in terms of this self-actualization process or cycle? Because it is very powerful when you can channel it in a positive direction. And I'm very reluctant to intervene in someone's life who's having a painful experience, because I recognize that although it looks bad, and as a compassionate human being, you want to ameliorate that in somebody you care about, but also you don't want to rob them of that experience, because it might just be their greatest teacher.
It really might. Yeah. So there's different ways of in getting into that question. One is, well, as a therapist or as a coach, and you're working with someone directly and you want to help them grow who is experiencing that, I think that's quite right, is you don't want to tell them how to live their lives. It's very important to not give people exact steps that they need to follow to curb something, but to help them be with things and help them get more in touch with their values. Again, we go back to the ACT approach to therapy, which I really like. It's a constant reorienting towards these higher values. And sometimes it's a matter of increasing that in your attentional field, like writing it out on a piece of paper, whatever, make it your freaking screensaver of your phone. Every time you open your phone, it's like, that's what I'm doing in my life. Because we can so easily forget. There are so many inner forces within us. This happens to me all the time. I'm human too. I'll be on Twitter and I'll find myself down some rabbit hole fighting with some anonymous person with no name and no picture about the most minute thing. And I'm like, wait, Scott, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm on earth to do. And then I recalibrate. And then and sometimes when I get in those moments, I will say it energizes me to go back to my mission in a way, even before it's like, because I know what it feels like when I'm working on my mission, when I'm working on the things that are of value, I can differentiate the different feelings. So also it's helping people if you're in a kind of a healing helper role with someone who is suffering or going through this, it's also getting them in different states and having them explore and have the self-awareness and understanding of how these different states feel. What kind of states do you want to be in? Who do you want to become? A lot of that is really non-judgmental and non-advice giving, but helping explore the full depths of human experience with that person and being there with them, supporting them in their journey of that.
Yeah. Just from my own non-clinical kind of modality of dealing with that, I just try to be present and loving and express to them, I'm here for you and I believe in you. That's it. I'm not going to solve your problem. I understand that you're in a painful moment and that's difficult, and I can empathize with that.
Do you know why I'm laughing?
Ultimately,
laughing?
Why?
Because my butt hurts right now.
Oh, really? With the chair again?
I feel like you're there.
You're the only guest that's had a problem with the chair.
You're with me
really
on this journey.